Okay. Just giving you guys a heads up, today's one of the ones where I have to sing. I know, so if you just want to avoid that, I would just skip to this time code. Alright, you ready? Alright, let's do this. Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. Except that doesn't work because Toki had the time fruit and she's dead now. So I guess no one knows where the day flows. I got a Kanabo in the mail today. It's pretty sick. Alright, so that started off as like a deep, like, okay, we're gonna have an honorable memorial to all of the fallen. We got Ace, we got Whitebeard, maybe Kuma. Everyone else on here is still alive. Moria is still kind of up for debate. Kobe's going up against Hancock, so I don't know. This might be her last day around, okay? But now, today, we're going to be looking at not just the people that have died in One Piece. We're going to... That number is already kind of pretty low compared to, like, you know, the entire cast of the story. Unless you live in the world of flashbacks, then... But no, we're going to be looking at the Devil Fruit users that have passed away in One Piece. Because whenever a Devil Fruit user dies, of course, their Devil Fruit is reincarnated in another fruit somewhere, just somewhere, and it gives the possibility that, you know, another person could eat it in the actual context of the story. Sometimes it's relevant, like Ace dies, and then Sabo eats the Maramara no Mi. Other times, like when Monet dies, and she loses the Yuki Yuki no Mi, really hasn't come into play at all in the story. There's a lot of theories out there. I even made a video about that, like maybe one of Nami's Mikens on the Sunny has, you know, the Yuki Yuki no Mi got turned into that, so maybe Carrot will eat it and become a snow bunny or something. There's a lot of theories out there, but it's also very possible that Oda might just go the rest of the story without even acknowledging the Yuki Yuki no Mi has been reincarnated, and no one else we see even gets their hands on it. Another big one that a lot of people are curious about is Roshinate's Calm fruit. What happened to that one? I bring that up because, wow, if you had a Devil Fruit user that had the power to manipulate musical instruments that can affect people with sound, as in anybody within the range of the musical instruments can be damaged unless you blow out your ears. Having a fruit that can negate sound might be kind of an advantage to have in that particular situation, right? And yeah, I don't know what that situation could even possibly come up, though. All right. So, in One Piece right now, we have 11 people that have been confirmed to have died, and their Devil Fruits are currently either in the hands of somebody else, or they're just being reincarnated, but we don't know exactly where they're at. And in one case, we actually do know where the Devil Fruit is located, but will probably never be reached or, you know, obtained again because of the conditions, okay? So, I've separated these into the categories of Devil Fruits, so let's just start with Logia, and then Zoan, and then Paramecia, because that's the largest category there of people that have died, and also it's just the largest category of Devil Fruits in general. Alright, so first we have the Logia category, and of course we gotta start this one off with our man, the person that was the son of Gold D. Roger, that was gonna attain everything this world had to offer, and now he's dead. You know, you feel really bad. You genuinely do, because Roger makes it all the way to freaking Laugh Tale, and he's like, well, guys, it looks like we were a little bit too early. Well, what are you gonna do? And then Roger, he goes up to Rayleigh, and he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna have a son, and my son will find it someday. And Rayleigh's like, you don't even have a son. He's like, well, that's what you think, Rayleigh. I still got some time left in me, and there's this lady down in the South Blue, and, well, we'll see what happens. You feel genuinely bad during that flashback with Odin and Roger and Rayleigh, because when Roger says, oh, my son will find it, be like, well, we know how that ended. Now, a big theme of One Piece, keep in mind, is the inherited will. Alright, so someone does not necessarily need to be blood-related in order to carry on the will of someone else. Case in point, Ace and Luffy were, you know, thick as thieves. You know, they were blood brothers, Sabo as well, but they were not actually blood-related brothers, you know what I mean? So, Luffy carries on the will of Ace, Sabo does as well as the will of Whitebeard and Roger, and everything's it kind of all meshes together, right? So, I have no doubt in my mind that, you know, Luffy will find the One Piece. You know, know, that would be kind of awkward if this story ends without him being Kaizoku Oni Orewanara, you know what I mean? You know, we get to the end of the story and it turns out Buggy was the king of the pirates the whole time. He made it there first, and Luffy's like, well, gee shucks, Buggy, I've been saying this for years, and, well, okay, you're the Kaizoku Oni Orewanara. Well, I guess because Ore would mean I'm the king of the pirates. You're the king of the pirates, Buggy. He takes out the straw hat, puts it on Buggy, and he's just like, okay now, right? So, yeah, Ace, of course, died at the hands of Akainu. He got punched through the chest with a magma fist, and going by One Piece logic, of course, magma is hotter than fire, even though fire can definitely get hotter than magma. That's not important right now. So, you know, he dies, and, you know, he's in Luffy's arms, and he just blood everywhere, and Luffy's like, please, just gotta put this back in, and we'll be fine, Ace, we'll be fine. And then Luffy pretty much has a mental shutdown at that moment, and it's a pretty intense moment. I remember reading that, like, when it was happening, like, you know, the weeks going by, and, like, the chapter was titled The Death of Porcus D. Ace. So, yeah, it was a pretty intense moment there in One Piece history, right? So, Ace dies, and his fruit gets reincarnated. Somehow Doflamingo gets his hands on it. Don't really know how that went down, you know, because they were planning on executing Ace anyway. So if the Marines were aware of Devil Fruit reincarnation, then they should know that, okay, they're going to execute Ace. He has the Maramara no Mi. Somebody needs to have a fruit on standby. Maybe they even did have that. Maybe they did research on the Maramara no Mi or whatever. And because there's been theories, and I've made a whole video about Devil Fruit reincarnation. You can go check that out in the link below. Whether or not, like, because the fruit is always the same shape and basic design, okay? Like, if Buggy were to ever die, God forbid, the Bara no Mi, whatever fruit it got reincarnated into, it'll look the same as when Buggy found it, like a pineapple. That's how you can have, like, the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, have, like, categories and stuff. The question is whether or not the fruit automatically transmorgifies any sort of fruit it gets its hands on. Like, if the nearest fruit is an apple, not a pineapple, Buggy dies, the apple will be magically transformed into a pineapple, so it looks like the Bara, or it has to be a pineapple, so whatever nearest pineapple it is. Don't really know how exactly this works yet. We'll have to wait for Vegapunk to give us more deets on that. But let's say the Marines knew, like, okay, this is the fruit that the Maramara no Mi is going to get reincarnated into, so they had somebody kind of on the sidelines with the fruit, so when Ace died, the fruit got reincarnated, and then Doflamingo could have just, oh, I'll be taking that, shing, and then grabs the Maramara no Mi, and then skips out, brings it back to Dressrosa, and then he uses it as the prize in the Cordia Coliseum. And of course, we know what happened from that point onward. Sabo entered in lieu of Lucy, or Luffy, and he ended up getting his hands on the Maramara no Mi, and now Sabo carries on the will, both figuratively and extremely literally, the fiery hot passion of Fire Fist Ace. And this leads to an awesome scene in Stampede. Not really a spoiler if you haven't seen it yet, but there's a scene at the end of Stampede where Anne is there, and Anne is like the One Piece Tower character, like, and she has the power of, like, the illusion fruit. She can make illusions out of images. She's not like a plot-centered character or anything. It's just like an OC. Like, not really an OC, it's because Oda did design her, but yeah, she shows up in the movie as like a cameo, and at the end of the movie you have Sabo using a fire fist with an illusion of Ace next to him, which looks awesome, okay? So that was pretty cool there. So, Ace, we miss you, buddy, but the Maramara no Mi lives on. Something else I want to bring up as a minor thing of ending out with the Maramara no Mi with Ace's death is I remember the scene in Dressrosa when they discover Devil Fruit reincarnation. They beat up one of the members of the Doflamingo crew, and he explains it. And Luffy's like, okay, well, I can't eat the Maramara no Mi because I already have Gumu powers. Hey, Frankie, do you want to have Maramara no Mi powers? And Frankie's like, nah, I'd rather prefer to swim. That, I just can't get that image out of my head with Frankie having the Maramara no Mi, though. Okay, just imagine that for a moment. I want to see fan art of that. You know, like, fire-blazing cyborg. Frankie, you know, he could literally, like, super, and then shoot off fireworks, and just, like, in the background, giant, like, letters, like, super appear in the sky made out of fire. That would be so damn cool, right? I know Frankie already has, like, his fresh fire. He's already got the Frankie Fireball. He's already capable of creating fire, but being able to turn into fire and be a cyborg? Fire missiles! Fire nipple lights! Fire strong right! Fire strong left! Fire Gatling gun! Fire cola! He breaks out the fridge and is just like, yeah, I need some cola fire. Yeah. Oh, if he had the Maramara no Mi, Frankie might actually be able to use the Paramecia no Mi powers, like, you know, Ace used it to power the Striker. He might have been able to use it to replace his cola reserves. I mean, Frankie would still drink the cola, because it's awesome, right? But he might have, like, an infinite energy source, like a perpetual motion machine powering himself constantly. So he could bust out, like, Radical Beam, Radical Beam, Radical Beam, because he's got, like, an infinite fire inside of him, like a furnace or something. Damn, that would have been cool. I can't stop thinking about that. But alright, well, whatever. Sabo got it. That's a good one, too. Alright, so the other Logia that we know that is dead in the story right now is Monet. There are still some people that are holding out. Well, maybe she didn't die. How this went is that Monet, she was, she didn't die. She didn't get even injured from that physically when Zoro, you know, dragon shocked her, like, right in half. Oh, okay. Took her a while to recover from that because... yeah, so she eventually pastes herself back together with her snow, and she's like, okay, I'm still alive. He could have killed me if he used armament hockey, but I'm still here, I'm good. And so she kind of climbs over to the lab self-destruct button, because of course, in One Piece, if you have a science lab, you gotta have a self-destruct button. I would say that was something that just Vegapunk came up, that Caesar came up with, because Caesar's a mad scientist, but no, this was originally Vegapunk's lab, and we also saw the self-destruct button on Karakuri Island on the future land of Baltimore, which was actually Vegapunk's childhood laboratory. He installed not one, but 2 self-destruct buttons. So that's just the standard, I guess, in the One Piece world, right? So Monet is like, screw this, screw everyone, you know, the Straw Hats aren't gonna make it out of here alive, and her last thoughts were thinking about the young master, about Doflamingo, and like, you will be the next king of the pirates, you'll rule this world, I'm sure you will, young master. And so she takes her little bird wing, and she opens up the self-destruct button, she's about to press it, but at that exact same moment, Caesar takes a piece of scrap metal, and what he thinks is Law's heart, and rams it in there, not realizing that Law actually switched the hearts, so that was actually Monet's heart all along. So Caesar actually ends up killing Monet by accident. And so Monet's kind of like, and then she doesn't push the button so the lab doesn't blow. And then there you go, there's Monet's death there. Seems pretty cut and dry to me, but there's still some ways you can look at that. Well, maybe she survived? Yeah, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Monet is dead. And that is actually one of the very few deaths that occur in this story, in the actual present situation we have. You know, we got Whitebeard, we got Ace, we got Monet, but a lot of other deaths just occur in flashbacks. I'm sure there's another one, there's a few others I'm not mentioning right now that occur in present day. Yeah, it's crazy, is it not? Yes, indeed. So, what happened to the Yuki Yuki no Mi? We don't know. Like I said, I made a whole video about that. A few people have made videos about that. Because I think if it was just a random Paramecia or a Zoan fruit, like if freaking Monet just had the Zoan bird fruit or something, like I could turn into a freaking a chickadee or whatever. Chickadee, chickadee, fly through my window. Chickadee, chickadee, fly through my window. Fine molasses candy. I don't know where the hell that came from. Okay, whatever. So if Monet had a random Zoan fruit that turned into a bird, I don't think we would care very much about that, right? Who cares where the bird fruit ended up? But the thing is, it was a Logia. It was a freaking Logia, the Yuki Yuki no Mi, that can turn you into snow. So that's kind of relevant, right? So I hope it might turn out to be a thing, like, you know, they're traveling away from Wano, and they're on the Sunny, and everyone's together, like, all the Straw Hats are finally together after so long, traveling away from Wano. Jinbei's there, Carrot-chan is there, and, oh man, I could see this set up as like the end of the chapter, like cliffhanger, like one of the last chapters of the Wano arc. As the Straw Hats are sailing away, they're all together, right? And maybe Luffy or Usopp and Chopper, they're like, "Hey everybody, let's celebrate our new crew member, with Carrot, maybe. Let's celebrate our new crewmates, by having a big feast." And, you know, they're talking about what they should eat or whatever, and, maybe Sanji throws out the idea of, like, using one of Nami's, like, Mikins to make, like, I don't know, some kind of orange-based dessert or something like that, right? Like a Mikin dessert, like a ice cream or parfait or something. And they're like, Nami's like, "Oh, that sounds like a good idea. I'll go get some Mikins." And the end of the chapter, picture this, the end of the chapter is Nami walking up to the Mikin Grove, and it just zooms in on one of the Mikins, and it's actually a devil fruit. End of chapter, 3-week break. The end of Wano. You could see that happening, could you not? Like, what? You know, and maybe because it's the Yuki Yuki no Mi, maybe it'll have like little symbols of like snowflakes on it or something, so we know like what the fruit is. Like, oh, that's from the, oh my god! That would be cool. That'd be a good reward for the Straw Hats after dealing all the Wano shit they have to deal with. They get a Logia at the end of it. That's a good reward, right? So yeah, those are the two Logias that are dead that we know of. Also, well, another Logia, Honey Queen from the second movie, Clockwork Island Adventure. I'm not going to go too much into filler fruits in this one because there's just so many. And honestly, I can't remember if all of the, like, which filler characters were dead and which ones were just ambiguous. Like, remember Breed from the Breed arc? Is Breed, I don't remember anything about Breed. How'd they defeat Breed? I don't remember him because I haven't watched those episodes since they first aired. So Breed might be dead for all I know. So I'm not going to go through every filler character. But I did cover that movie, and Honey Queen was a Logia. And at the end of that movie, I remember Nami defeats Honey Queen, traps her in a giant jar because she can turn into, like, jelly. But then the whole castle just collapses. Like this, like, huge castle on top of this clockwork structure that's like a mile in the air just collapses. And the Straw Hats make it out okay. But I don't think we see what happened with, like, Bear King and, Pin Joker and everyone at the end of Skunk 1 at the end of that movie. So maybe they're dead too, who knows? But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because she was also a Logia. The only Zoan fruit that we know of that the user is dead is actually Smiley. Smiley having the power of the salamander fruit model Axolotl. That was Caesar's little pet. Caesar took a glob of goo and then, fed it the fruit and then turned into an axolotl, and then it was Caesar's loyal pet, grew to giant size on Punk Hazard, but then utilized him as a delivery device for the Shinokuni, the Death Country weapon that he developed, the petrification gas. So fed the gas weapon of Smiley this candy, which merged with him and caused this huge explosion, killing Smiley in the process and resurrecting the axolotl fruit. This is the one that we know exactly where it's located, but will probably never be obtained, because the fruit was reincarnated in an apple. We see this. There was a member of Caesar's lab that were there, and they had a sled, and on the sled they had a kind of like a bag of apples, like a burlap sack full of apples. One of the apples we see transform into a devil fruit, but then it was immediately washed over with the petrification, the Shinokuni weapon. So the devil fruit is still there on Punk Hazard. It's just in the middle of a tundra, miles from anywhere, and encased in that petrification, like under layers and probably feet and feet of that. So nobody really knows it's there. It's not a really powerful fruit, and Punk Hazard is basically abandoned at this point. I mean, maybe at some point, like, the Marines will go back to Punk Hazard and take it over again, but they would have to go out into the middle of the vast empty wasteland of the tundra that Aokiji created, take a pickaxe at the exact point, and dig it out. That's just not going to happen, so I'm pretty sure the axolotl fruit will never be eaten again. It'll permanently be just resting under the petrification dust on Punk Hazard in the middle of the Arctic, and that's just his final resting place. I mean, maybe possibly it could come into the hands of somebody at some point, but I doubt it, right? So, poor Smiley. I mean, Smiley was just, an animated sentient ball of goo, but still, you feel bad for the poor thing, right? It had a connection with Caesar. Caesar probably raised the thing like, "Aw, Smiley, you're my little gooey." Oh, and I guess Smiley because he's made of poisonous gas, but Caesar's also gas, so it doesn't matter. So it doesn't affect him, so Smiley could, like, lick him like a dog. It's like, "Aw, you're adorable, you little ball of goo and slime, that's great." And then the ultimate betrayal in all of anime happens! Oh, here, Smiley, have some candy. It'll taste delicious. Bye, Smiley, you were a good pet. Boom. Poor Smiley, man. He didn't deserve that. All right, moving on to the Paramecia category. All right, first and foremost, we got someone that we're all gonna... we all loved. We got Doflamingo's brother, Don Quixote Roshinate, or also known as Corazon, who'd had the heart seat on the Doflamingo crew. We all love Roshinate. He was a true brother to Law, raised him up, force-fed him the op fruit. He did everything a good brother would do, right? Law already had a dad, so I hesitate to call Roshinate, like, Law's father figure, because Law did have a dad at Flevens, and a mother, and a sister, and they seemed to be a happy family. It wasn't like Law's dad was, like, abusive or anything. Law's dad was a doctor, and that's where Law learned, I think both of his parents were doctors, and that's how he learned his medical knowledge, right? So, I hesitate to call him, because he lived his entire childhood with a good parents and a good sister, and a nice family in Flevens, before, the lead poisoning thing happened, right? So, I would definitely call Roshinade more of Law's like big brother figure, because he never had that growing up, okay? And so he cared about him, tried to cure his amber lead disease, and realized, okay, the only way for you to do this is to get the op fruit. Remember, that was the whole reason that Roshinate died, just getting his hands on the op fruit to cure Law. Yeah, there was also something there, you know, he contacted the Marines, he contacted Sengoku to get Doflamingo brought in and captured finally, but I think overall, even more so than his duties to the Marines, Roshinate wanted to heal Law. He wanted to make sure Law was taken care of, okay? And so it was a very tragic moment when he uses his Calm fruit to quiet Law when who's in the chest and like crying his eyes out, so he uses that to silent Law, and then he gets shot by Doflamingo point blank. And then, you know, he's there and he's crying. He's like, his dead body is like slumped up against the chest. And he's like, I can't die yet. If I die, then my fruit will lose its effect. And then everyone's going to hear Law. I just got to wait. Just got to hang on until they walk away. And then he holds on until they leave because Osuru shows up and then Doflamingo has to leave. And then he's like, all right, we're good. And then he dies. And then the cries just start up after that. Oh my god, and Roshinade just died right there, didn't he? He died right up against the freaking chest. I don't think Doflamingo took his corpse or anything, right? So that means that after that whole thing went down, after a couple of minutes of just crying in the chest, after making sure no one else is around, Law had to poke his head out of the chest and see Roshinade's dead body there, and then had to leave him behind, because he's a little kid and he had to survive. He had to get out of there. It's messed up, man, right? But the Calm fruit got reincarnated. Where at, though? Very much like Punk Hazard, the place that they were on, I believe it was Rubeck Island, or maybe Swallow Island, I forget. Was it Swallow Island? There was Rubeck, Minion, and Swallow Island that were all in those little, like that area of the North Blue, but I think it might have been Rubeck or Swallow Island, or maybe it's Minion. I forget. One of the islands they were on. It was a winter island, okay? So much like Punk Hazard, there's really not a lot of flora around. There's not a lot of trees, you know, so, or fruit trees specifically. So it's like, where did the Calm fruit where did it get reincarnated at? And Law was a little kid at this point, so I don't think he would have known about the reincarnation cycle, probably. And with all the trauma he had with, you know, Roshinate and everything, he probably left, you know, and he eventually ended up actually finding Sachi, Penguin, and Beppo on this island as well, in this random island in the north. And that's kind of how the Heart Pirates started. That's kind of how they all became friends, right? So, I'm just saying the Calm fruit would be, the Nagi Nomi would be insanely useful against Apu's musical fruit. But also, it's just, as we saw with Roshinade utilize it, it's a pretty useful fruit just in general. You know, it's not something that's just like completely, you just throw it away and throw it aside. It's not that useful. You can silence anything, you know, so that's pretty powerful to have, really, for infiltration and stealth. Robin already has a fruit, but that'd be something really useful for her. You know, Nami being a cat burglar, that would be insanely useful for her if she ever got her hands on that. Very useful fruit. And then also, you know what? I always say that Nami, if she got like a powerful fruit, she'd be way too OP with like her climb attack, and if she got a fruit like a Logia, that'd be like really powerful for Nami. But if Nami ended up getting the Nagi Nomi, that's not a Logia, that's Paramecia. I think that might actually work for her. Yeah. That may not be impossible to have. I don't want the One Piece story to end with like, all the Straw Hats, you have a devil fruit, you have a Usopp's got a fruit, Nami's got a fruit, Frankie's got a fruit, everybody's got a fruit. That doesn't need to be the case, but if it was going to be a fruit, I think Nami with the Nagi Nomi, I think that would work rather well, and it wouldn't really make her too powerful. It wouldn't like give her Logia intangibility or anything, right? But poor Roshinate, we will cherish him for the rest of time. Then we have Whitebeard, Ace's captain. He took it like a man at the end of that war. He took everything. We had a whole narration explaining, you know, like all the stuff he took, all the cannon fire, all the bullets, all the arrows, all the sword wounds he got ran through, but not a single wound on his back. And unfortunately, though, he lost his Guru Nomi to Blackbeard, who stole it through some other means. We don't really know how that works. I've made videos about that as well, how exactly, you know, Blackbeard has multiple fruits. There's like the Cerberus theory. There's the multiple soul theory, which I'm kind of leaning on right now from what we found out with the flashback with, you know, Shanks and Buggy, and like, hey, that kid over there, he doesn't sleep. And it's like, okay, that's a little strange. And then the whole thing at Jaya, which I completely forgot about up until last couple of months when people brought it up again, when Zoro was like, it's not he, it's they. I'm like, oh! So, yeah, we're gonna see where that goes there. But yeah, I think we all know the story behind Whitebeard. He died, and now Blackbeard has the power of the Guru Nomi, 2 devil fruits in one body, which is usually impossible, but it's Blackbeard we're talking about about here, so not going to go into too much detail with that because I feel like I've talked about that a lot. Also in Blackbeard's crew, because they're kind of going on a devil fruit hunt, is the clear fruit, the sabi. Wait, was it the sabi or the sube no mi? It's one of those two. He got his hands on that from Absalom because Moria sent Absalom to kind of go into the Hachi-Inosu Island, the beehive, and kind of figure out what was going on in there. Absalom does infiltrate, but he ends up getting found out somehow, probably because of observation hockey or something, or just somebody notices him because you're invisible, you're not intangible, right? And so they killed Absalom, took his fruit, and they gave it to Shiryu of the Rain, who now has the power of invisibility. Shiryu, being a backstabbing kind of guy, doesn't really care much for the honor of the sword or Bushido, works rather well for him, and we saw him, attack Moria from behind as well. Moria, from what we understand so far, is still alive, so he could use the Kage no Mi power to reanimate Absalom's body. And Katarina Devon even mentioned, he's like, we still have his corpse. If you want it, you love corpses, right? We have his corpse. Here you go. So we might still see Absalom reanimated as a corpse. Oda might still draw him with somebody else's shadow. But Absalom himself, confirmed to be dead. After what we saw, what he did with Nami, that was pretty messed up. I'm not really that upset about Absalom, his death here in One Piece. Who else do we got? I'll just mention these two now because we don't really know much about them. Higurashi and Semimaru, members of the Kurozumi family that are relatives of Orochi. Semimaru has the power of the barrier fruit during the time of Odin, and Higurashi has the power of the Mane no Mi, or the clone fruit, during the time of Odin. We, of course, understand completely well who ended up with those powers after their deaths. We know after Higurashi used her powers to pretend to be Momo during the battle, after that whole fight was over, after Odin was captured, Kaido walked up to Higurashi, and Higurashi's like, Lord Kaido, that was a glorious fight. Remember when I took the form of Odin's child and he got distracted and you smacked him in the face with that kanabo? Oh my god, that was glorious. Kaido's like, yeah. Hey, you want an instant replay on that? Hey, what do you mean by that? Boom! Thunder Bagara! I can actually do that now, right? So, yeah, he took out Higurashi, and that was like one of his last words to Odin. He's just like, I took care of the woman, don't worry. I didn't like that, what she did during that fight. So that was like one of the, that was actually, you could tell, was actually bugging Kaido. That was like, yeah, I don't feel right about that, the fight ending that way. It didn't sit right with me. I'm still gonna shoot you, Odin, but just letting you know I took care of her. Now, Semimaru, we don't know what happened with him, but we assume he was pretty damn old at the point. He looked like he was about 110 at that point, so he probably died shortly thereafter. And the barrier fruit got reincarnated somewhere, it ended up somehow in the east. Don't know how that happened. Ended up somewhere in the east because Bartolomeo was in Logtown and he ate it. I guess it's also possible that the barrier fruit got reincarnated in another person or even multiple people, because remember, this is like 20 years ago. Bartolomeo, it could have exchanged users many times before it ended up in the hands of Bartolomeo, but ended up somehow, I guess, on a merchant vessel or something, ended up in the east. Bartolomeo ate it, and now he has the power of the barrier fruit. Logtown is also kind of like a shipping area around the Grand Line as well. Like, goods from the Grand Line will sometimes make it to Logtown and from the other blues. So maybe at some point, yeah, there was a shipment, and Bartolomeo had that street gang, that Gambia and everybody were part of. And so maybe one day Bartolomeo just raided one of like the merchant caravans or something in Logtown. He took all of the goods and he found this weird fruit, and he's like, what the hell's this? Whatever. Hey, boss, you can make barriers now. Oh, cool. I'm just like Luffy senpai. I have a devil fruit, so that's kind of nice, right? And we, of course, know Mr. 2 Bon Clay got his hands on the Mane no Mi. Still have no idea how that ended up, where he was at. Mr. 2 grew up in the East, but remember that he was also a member of Baroque Works, so maybe Crocodile, with his connections, got his hands on the Mane no Mi at some point and gave it to Bon Clay Bentham, and then he ate it and got the power through Crocodile, through Baroque Works, that actually gave him the fruit. Who knows? Maybe he didn't find it himself, but yeah, we don't know much about those two, but they were members of the Kurozumi family that lived a long time ago. Mother Caramel, also someone that lived a long time ago. She had the power of the soul fruit. She used the power to create homies, and she was basically revered as like this holy mother, because using this power to like summon like deities, essentially. They're not really deities, but she can like take a raging fire and turn it into a little homie, and so revered her as like a sun god or something. Very powerful fruit, and she definitely knew how to use it to its fullest capacity. However, one thing she couldn't protect herself from was Big Mom's appetite. Still don't know 100% if that's what went down, but from what we understand, to me anyway, it seemed pretty abundantly clear what went down there. So we were celebrating Charlotte Linlin's Big Mom's 6th birthday. They gave her a whole cake, a croquem bush made of semlan. Big Mom's like, oh my god, this is the best birthday ever. Oh my god, so creamy, so delicious, so fluffy. Okay, the consistency's changing up a little bit here, but I'm still liking it. That's a weird taste in my mouth. Kind of weird. Whatever. Anyway. Oh, no. And then she looks down and just nothing. The whole table is gone and just some clothing remains. And so we can assume what happened at that point, that Big Mom ate Mother Caramel whole. The fruit, because she died, got reincarnated, but it was already in a container. A devil fruit has to be in some kind of container. It can be the devil, I mean, it could be the devil fruit itself, like the actual fruit, or it could be an object. We've seen this with, like, the gun that was given the Dachshund fruit, or Spondum's sword that was given the elephant fruit, or it could be another living being, like an animal or a human in that particular instance. So there was already a container inside the container when, Big Mom ate Mother Caramel. So we learned a little thing about that today. It's, cannibalism can be used to consume another person's devil fruit. Yeah, that's a thing that apparently happens. So that's Mother Caramel's fruit, the Soul fruit, now in the hands of the Yonko Big Mom Charlotte Linlin. I think we're very well acquainted with her. Who else do we got? We got, Toki. Here's the thing with Toki. Is she dead? I'm just throwing it out there, okay? Because I went back and I looked at that chapter during Odin's flashback when she gets up there and she does her speech amidst the burning fire in the backdrop of the Odin castle, of Curry Castle, and she's like, 20 years from now, the Kozuki clan will return to this land and bring the dawn of a new age! And she was bleeding, she was injured, but she wasn't like at death's door or anything like that. Then you cut to a random member of the Beast Pirates that's in the crowd, and he kind of takes out a flintlock and he kind of cocks it like click, and then you just see someone shouting, Lady Toki! And that's it. It was stated that she decided to have Wano be her final resting place. It was stated that that was going to be her final resting place. She was going to die there. But she also has the power of the time fruit, and what seemingly is instantaneous, she can at any moment ping herself into any future, time frame, okay? So, maybe what Toki said isn't inaccurate. Maybe Toki was like, Wano will be my final resting place, but not right now. Wano in the future will be my final resting place. Because here's something you also have to understand about Toki that I just didn't get, alright? Toki is smart. She's smart. She's clever, okay? Why the hell, if she had the ability to just pop into the future and avoid that death at that moment, why would she die there and then risk the Toki fruit, the time fruit, getting in the hands of Kaido's crew? Maybe, I was going to say maybe she didn't know about reincarnation of the fruits. Bullshit. She traveled with Whitebeard. They were outside for a long time, and she traveled with Roger's crew. They knew how devil fruits. She definitely knew how devil fruits got reincarnated, okay? Because she traveled with, like, Whitebeard and Roger. So she knows. She knows how devil fruits get reincarnated. So why would she be like, all right, well, I'm going to send the scabbards into the future. Hiyori, I'm going to give into the hands of Kawamatsu. He'll keep her safe. I don't know where Denjiro went. I don't know where Ashura Doji went. Hope Neko and Inu are okay. They got captured, but I hope they make it out okay. Well, I'm going to give my final speech alone, then I'm gonna die, and then my fruit will get reincarnated, and maybe Orochi and Kaido now have the power of time at their disposal. That doesn't make any freaking sense if she actually knew that. Like, it would be one thing if she was, like, leaving it in the care of someone else, but she left Hiyori to leave. So, you can't pass on a devil fruit power unless you die first. That seems to be what happens, unless you do the cannibalism thing, but Oh god, that's like Attack on Titan level crap right there, where Toki lays down Hiyori like, Hiyori, you need to do something after Mom is dead. That's like Ymir kind of shit in Attack on Titan, right? Like what the king made Ymir's children do. Oh god. Yeah, but no, that's not how that went down. So you think, like, she does the speech, then she pops into the future. She still is planning on Wano to be her final resting place, but she has to make sure the time fruit doesn't get in there. Because if the time fruit got in the hands of Kaido, then they could immediately just follow her into the future. I mean, follow the scabbards into the future. And then the whole plan is just completely useless at that point, right? Yeah. So I think Toki time traveled. I think she did. I think she time traveled at the last minute, went into like maybe 21 years into the future or something like that, or 20 years and 6 months or whatever. Well, it has to be longer than that because Kinemon and everybody, they've been in the future now for about a few months. So maybe she traveled a little bit, like 21 years into the future, knowing that, okay, 21 years, either I'm going to arrive in Wano and everything's going to be done and the battle's going to be over and everyone's going to be all right and Momo's and Hiyori's going to be safe and the country's back under the control of the Kozukis. Everything's copacetic and then I can die in peace and pass on my fruit or live there in the country until I'm old. Or I get 21 years into the future and the Scabbards are all dead, and at that point, then I'll go somewhere else in the world and I'll die, you know, and make sure the Toki fruit doesn't, or I could just keep, or whatever. If she's dead set on dying in Wano, like live there, but make sure the fruit is taken care of, something like that. I don't know exactly what she would do, but I don't know. We didn't actually see Toki's body, so yeah, I don't know about that one, but ostensibly she's dead, so whatever. Who else? I wrote down Kuma. He's not, like, listed in, like, the dead because he's technically still alive. He's a Terminator, essentially. He has biological organs that are just modified, including his brain. So I think at some point Kuma could have some way to, like, you know, activate his personality and his morality and his, you know, himself again. But let's say that doesn't happen, then he's essentially brain dead. And so that kind of gets into, like, well, okay, your physical body is still alive, but your brain is essentially gone, so are you technically dead in that instance? And personally, I wouldn't want to be like in a vegetative state or anything like that, and it's just my body that's alive at that point, but we're getting into kind of serious topics with that. So I wanted to bring up Kuma, and I didn't even think of Kuma until I was actually putting up the poster for today's video, and I see Kuma on there, and I'm like, maybe I should mention Kuma in this video. Yeah, because Kuma is kind of, right now, he's just a mindless robot, right? So he's technically alive, but is he? You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with Kuma, but I just wanted to bring him up. And then finally, the last person I wanted to bring up here, just making sure I went over everybody: Ace, Monet, Smiley, Absalom, Semimaru, Roshinate, Higurashi. Okay, yeah. Last person I wanted to bring up here. This is the only filler person I'm going to bring up aside from like Honey Queen, because this individual I actually remember very clearly how he died, and that's of course Eric from the Warship Island arc. Eric, the user of the Kama no Mi, the wind sickle fruit, the sickle fruit. So you probably don't really remember Eric at all, what he did during the arc. I think he fought Zoro at one point. Whatever. That doesn't really matter, okay? What matters is how he died. Nami killed him. Yeah. Nami straight up capped off Eric. He sneaks on board of the Mary as they're going up Reverse Mountain. They're in the process of going up this torrential current, these rapids, just ascending the mountain. And Eric pops out. For some reason, he jumps up on the side banister of the Mary, kind of a stupid foothold, but he's like, I am Eric! I will use my wind scythe powers to shred your sails and destroy your ship! Ha ha ha! And everyone on the ship is kind of like, oh crap, if he starts firing off those wind scythes, that could be bad, because we can't really maneuver here. And Zoro's like, we're only gonna get one shot at this, and everyone's like, oh, hey, ooh! And Usopp's like, ee! And then Nami just walks up, leg sweeps! Just leg sweeps Eric, and he's just like, ah! And he just falls into the torrential rapids, the insane current of Reverse Mountain, and just... Mary keeps going up. It's like, bye, Eric! And everyone's just kind of like, that was easy. Nami is a cold-hearted witch in that particular scene. She just straight up kills a dude with no remorse. What she says, it's like, yeah, whatever, kick. And they bring up, well, obviously Eric is a devil fruit user, and he couldn't survive in the water anyway. And this is the middle of Reverse Mountain. He's not around a town or anyone to like fish him out or anything. But even without his devil fruit, they even make a point to mention, even if he was a normal human with no powers, the current is so damn strong, he wouldn't be able to swim anyway. So I want you to imagine, as we end out this video, I want you to picture the last moments of Eric, where he falls, he gets his legs swept by Nami, he's falling, he hits the water, the rushing current of Reverse Mountain, he hits the ice-cold water, his entire body goes numb immediately, and then he just falls in the water, still kind of conscious, and then just gets swept away like a freaking doll and just gets, boom, cracked against the side of the damn rocks. And like every bone in his body just gets turned into powder. And then he dies. Yeah, Nami. Holy shit. Right? But who got the Kama Kama, Nomi? That's the real question there. I think Nami was so brutal there, she removed that fruit from circulation with how brutal she killed Eric. Whew, Nami, damn, she's got a body count in this story. Alright, so anyway, those were all the people that have died with Devil Fruit abilities. Let me know in the comments below, where do you think, like, Korozone's Nagi Nagi no Mi ended up, or about Monet's Yuki Yuki no Mi. What's the deal with Kuma? You know, would you classify him as dead right now? You know, maybe talk about how, like, the Mane Mane no Mi and the Barrier Fruit, the Bari Bari no Mi, ended up where they ended up, because they were on Wano originally. Is Absalom gonna come back as a corpse? Did Big Mom really eat caramel? You know, what's up with Blackbeard having the Gura Gura no Mi? And, is Toki still alive? Yes, comment every single one of those below. There's gonna be a test tomorrow. Alright, everyone. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Later. By the way, I read the spoilers for chapter 984, and I've seen the chapter. I know what happens. No spoilers here, but Sunday! 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 I gotta bring back the Called That Shit dance, because... Later, everyone.